Hi everybody! I'm just getting live and I'm not exactly sure what I'm doing. So I'm going to do the best I can here, okay? First I'm going to go to our site. If you haven't signed up, make sure to stop by the Ask Dan live page on Facebook. Whoops, I'll try not to rock the table. It looks like we're having an earthquake. Uh-oh. It says poor connection. That's no good. This is no good. I'm going to try again with a different connection. Let me see if I can change my connection. All right, I see that there are some people signed in, and I'm going to be taking some questions. I'm going to start with our page on Ask Dan Live. Now, please bear with me, the couple of people who are with me, because this is the first time that I've done this where I'm not being helped by my brother or Johnny Walker. I'm kidding, I don't drink. Okay, so, oh, I should go to YouTube, right? Hold on, YouTube. And then I believe that there's some really fancy way to ask questions in the chat section. So make sure to go there if you're on live. Okay. Here we go. My channel.
One moment, please. We're just experiencing some technical difficulties.
Okay. Mom, is that you? Are you the only person watching me? Okay, here we go. Here we go. That's not it either. I'm coming. You know, these password programs do not make my life any easier like they say they're going to. Okay, here we go. So, my channel. What's going on here? I'm looking for the chat section. Well, that's a nice cover photo they have there. Okay. Oh, hi. Oh, look, it's coming right through the screen on my phone. Whee! Hi, Dan. Can you bring the microphone closer? Oh, yeah. Microphone. Microphone's coming up. Microphone's coming up. Microphone. I'm coming up. Microphone's coming up. I can't find my microphone. You know, I'd just like to say this is all my mother's fault. I'll figure out exactly why shortly. Oh, here we go. Microphone. All right. Okay, if this disconnects me, it's been lovely. Where do I go here? Okay. Okay, how's that? Whoops. Okay, can you hear me now? Is it much better? Can you hear that? Hi, Mayrel. Okay, can you hear me now? Much better? Okay. I hope that that's somebody saying, hello again, Dan. Yes, hello, Skyline and Sunsets. Okay, I'm going to go to my channel because I have a feeling that something is going on the channel. and I need to see what it is. Okay. So I know that I'm live. Okay. Since I'm live here, I think maybe I should chat here. I'm going to check what the chat says. Okay, super chat. All chat messages. Okay. So I'm going to start out by taking some questions from our channel. If you have not, am I live and you can hear me? Somebody say hello. Yes, if you can. Okay, I'm going to take that as a yes. New conversations you care about will show up in tabs. Oh, thank you, Skyline and Sunsets. Okay, I'm going to check out what some of the questions are. And I like to take them live. I'm definitely live, yes. I like to take them live so that I don't have any time to prepare because, it kind of shows when you prepare and I want people to really get the live effect. The good, the bad, and the ugly. So here we go. Okay. Now I know that I had some questions here, but I can't seem to find them. Okay. While we're at it, I just posted something while I'm going to do this. I wanted to ask any of you, have you had this experience? My very best friend, her name is Dakota, and we're not going to say this happened to her, but she knows somebody who this may have happened to, where she was innocently checking out her daughter's cell phone and found pictures of her sexting. And not that my other best friend here in Mexico, Olga, got on her granddaughter's phone and found out that she was sexting and sending out pictures that maybe were a little bit compromising. Has that happened to anybody? And if so, what did you do? Because I had an answer for her, and I'd like to hear what your thoughts would be. Okay, so let me know what you would do if you found your kids texting, sexting. Okay. I don't think I need to approve anybody. Oh, rats. You see, people asked questions, and I just don't know where they are. Oh, here we go. Okay. Oh, wow, look, it posted right there. Thanks, Joe Park. Thank you, Joe. Okay. Okay, well, I will find those questions in a moment. But I don't know what you thought or what you would do, but I told my friend that it's kind of like when we are telling our kids how proud we are of them. When we tell somebody that we're proud of them, this is, by the way, the answer that I gave and will give, I think, pretty much all the time. When we want somebody to feel as though they are one of us, one of our pack, our group, we will tell them how proud we are of them. And you know how if you ever noticed when you say that to a child, something such as, I'm so proud of you, or I want you to know how proud of you I am, or you should be really proud of yourself. It evokes a physiological change almost immediately. Their chest puffs up, their chin goes up, and it's a big deal when when somebody claims you. And when we claim somebody, their behavior tends to reflect what the expected behavior of the pack would be. Therefore, you know how we tend to have it backwards? I mean, I apologize, by the way. We tend to have it backwards where when we really need to do that the most is when we do the opposite. For example, a lot of people that I have talked to, when they found their kids' sext messages, they would say things to them such as, oh, I can't even look at you. I am so ashamed. You're not my daughter. You're not my son. You are acting as though you are a street-walking prostitute. You know what I mean? So not that that's anything good to say, and I actually said no. It's not what you should say. Thank you, Marielle. But it is at those moments, and I told both Dakota and Olga, would you please go back and talk to your children again and tell them something along the lines of, sweetheart, I want you to know that I'm with you in the good and the bad. I've always been with you in the good. This is not going to be remembered as one of our family's finest moments, but what we do in good times is the same as what we do in bad times, and that's stick together. So we're going to get through this just like we've gotten through everything else. So let's start by figuring out how we got here and where we're going to go from here. You know, something like that, to let somebody know that even when I catch you doing something that I consider to be, you know, the worst of the worst, I'm still going to stick with you. If you've ever had those moments in life, there are things that you remember. I remember when my dad and I had a little time together, he caught me doing something very horrible. And instead of berating me or you know, turning me in or making me feel bad, I remember he just sat there and he's like, I'm going to sit with you till this is done because that's how we roll. But I'm not happy about it. But he stayed there, and that was a wonderful lesson that I've always remembered. And if you have the chance to give somebody that moment when you find them, you know, doing you wrong or, you know, bringing shame upon your home, let them know that you'll stick with them just as you always will. Okay. Now there's messages here. Oh, wait a minute. Okay. I'm going to check more messages because there are some. Oh, thanks for the 2 thumbs up wherever you are. Okay. I have to go to my site because I believe that there's a chat going on. Has anyone ever done this before? Maybe? Okay. Okay. I was asked a question. That's not nice, Sagar. Timothy Carr asked a question. Do you have any videos on structuring communication? I often find it difficult to be concise when speaking, a natural tendency, and want more discipline and structure. And Sagar K said, speak less, that'll help. That's not nice, Sagar. Mohan asked, do I have private lessons? And I do not have private lessons. I am, however, starting a course. It's on danoconnor.training.com, and danoconnor.training.com is brand new. I think I've said that a lot, but I've had a lot of new sites. This one is brand new. It just started, and I'm hosting some live courses, and they are like Monday night and Friday night type of courses where I'll be talking with the group and we'll be collaborating. You can find information on that on the front page of the website, kind of midway down. You'll see upcoming courses and events maybe, but that's as close as I get to private lessons. Anybody ever see that movie Private Lessons back in the 80s? Okay. Oh, by the way, I apologize about my poor connection. Oh, there's Buddy. Oh, hi, Buddy. I'm coming from Guadalajara. Well, I'm actually coming from the hillside around Guadalajara, Mexico. Oh my goodness, Buddy evidently is having a heart attack. I guess the bad hombres are at the door. Okay, and oh, you know what? Lynn Lee, left a comment that looks like spam, where she said, cancer treatment, no chemo, doctor explains, please watch. Sounds like spam. However, oh my gosh, it's my dad. Okay, hold on, we'll be back with the whole family. Da 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 da. Hold on, I'll be back. Don't go anywhere, guys. Da 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 da. Da 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 da. Hold on. Ooh, da, da. I didn't want you to see what I'm wearing on the bottom half. Go on. Oh. Hello. Hello. Come on, buddy. Come on, baby. Okay, so that was not, as I thought, my father. So you don't get the opportunity to meet my father. But you do get to meet Buddy. Hey, Buddy, come here. Come on, baby. Come on. If you haven't met Buddy yet, oh, she's the attention hog. So this is Maggie. Maggie's my material girl. If you've ever seen our, stop it. If you've ever seen, hi baby. If you've ever seen our lessons on the different the different love languages, Maggie's love language is giving and receiving gifts. And I know that sounds funny for a dog, but it's the truth, because when she greets me, like right now, she's leaving because she doesn't feel as though she's getting enough attention, she'll come back with a toy. And she'll be like, hey, I got a toy here. It won't be for me. She's just going to present it as if to say, I have things, so you know. And then she'll go away with it. And this is Buddy. Hey, baby, come here, baby. Come on, buddy, come on, buddy, come on. Okay, so Buddy is he's my medical detection dog. He can detect illnesses. And what he does is he licks you, not like this. This is just a friendly lick. He's a licky licker. It's like, but when he smells an illness on you, he will try to lick it off, and he'll just get obsessed. Not like that. I'm not sick. Come on, Buddy. So this is Buddy. A lot of people have missed Buddy, and he, by the way, is one of my... There's nothing going on there. He is one of my mentors when it comes to communication. Buddy the dog has wonderful lessons. If you have not yet experienced one of his lessons, make sure to check out lessons or communication training from Buddy the dog. Google it, because I haven't posted any lately and I don't know where they are. But it's funny how dog behavior and human communication mirrors one another. By the way, did you all know that that when a mother breastfeeds her baby, right at that moment, you bond chemically, because the brain releases all of this oxytocin and phenylethylamine and all sorts of these bonding drugs, and they call them the bonding drugs because they make you feel as though you have a bond with somebody when you touch them, basically, and these chemicals are released in both of the brains, and they're released in copious amounts, like no other time in life, when a mother first breastfeeds her baby. And that doesn't happen any other time except for when a person pets their dog. And it happens not just in the human's brain, but it happens in the dog's brain as well, in just about the same amounts as, oh, goodbye, buddy, as it happens when a mom is breastfeeding her baby. It doesn't happen in any other time. In addition to that, or in any other place in nature, in addition to that, I think it's fascinating how we can understand, naturally, we can understand dogs' language. If you've ever seen those tests, if you haven't, look them up on YouTube. They have people listen to dog barks, like 10 different barks in a row, and try to determine what the dog is saying. You know, they'll say things like, sounds like someone's coming up to the front door, but they don't know who it is, or it sounds like they're hungry, or it sounds like they're playing. And we get it right, like 70 or 80% of the time. We can interpret correctly, naturally, instinctively, a dog's tongue. And a dog can also understand human language. And not only do they understand human language, it is the only species that cares what we have to say and wants to hear what we have to say. Why isn't there a laboratory researching this on every corner of the globe? I don't understand it. I think it's just fascinating. Okay, so I'm going back to my questions now. Okay, so I know that I'm live, but it's not showing up live anywhere but on my telephone. And on my telephone, I'm not getting any messages. Okay, hold on. Super chat, super chat. Wait a minute. How do I share this? I don't want to share. Hold on. Hold on. What am I doing here? Okay, I'm going to chat. Wait, oh yeah, here we go. Hello, Dan. Hello, Enthros. Okay, what made you choose to live in Guadalajara? Well, I chose to... Thank you for your question, Pamela. Okay, I'm gonna lay it on you because it's just the truth. When I was a stockbroker in Chicago, and my mother, who felt horribly guilty because of things I can't say here on YouTube because this is a family show, Mom, brought my brother and I to Mazatlan, and of course it's very touristy there, but it was the first time I'd ever left the Midwest. And my brother and I, when we went to bed that night, we looked out the balcony, and I kid you not, we were looking at the palm trees below us saying, those are the biggest fake plants I have ever seen. Oh my God, and look, there's so many of them. How did they get so many fake plants here? That must have cost a fortune. And so we went to, that's just how, what a rube I was. I didn't know that there were palm trees that big. And so then the sun came up in the morning. We arrived at night. The sun came up in the morning and we looked out and Marty and I were both like, oh my God, those palm trees are real. And I was so dumbstruck, and I had never seen an ocean before, and I had never seen all of these things before. So I said, if I have to go back to Guadalajara, I'm going to jump off the roof and commit hara-kiri on the way down. So I said, I'm going to go back and sell my stuff and come to Mexico for a while. I like it here. And my whole family was like, yeah, whatever, weirdo, because I'd never left home in the Midwest. And I said, no, I really am. I can't do it anymore. And so I sold all my stuff in Chicago that I could, and I got like $200, and packed it up. And I had met somebody in Mazatlan, and in Mexico people will say things like, mi casa es tu casa, and I said, I'm going to hold you to that. And then I went back to Fargo, and at the time it was before the internet, so I had to go to my public library and go through the card catalogs and research where to live in Mexico if you don't know where to live. And at the time they were saying move to Guadalajara because it was a good central point that you could then leap from and go other places. And so I said, all right. So I came to Guadalajara, and I had 2 weeks that this guy let me stay with him. He's like, okay, you've got 2 weeks. And so I thought, okay, in 2 weeks I've got to get a job and an apartment and kind of make a life. And so I did that, and I thought, I'm just going to see how long I can make it last. And I was so poor. I remember I was making about $250 a month teaching at a school. I was teaching 5th and 6th graders, and I was so happy. And I met Jorge, and that was kind of a turning point in my life. And I just ended up staying, and it ended up being my home. And then, I carved out my own little paradise in the sun. And I really, I'm very attached to my home, maybe more than I should be. And I was so loving, I'm very routine oriented. And so I would come home after school, and I would sit under a certain tree in a certain park, in a certain rose garden, and I would write letters that I would then send home, and then I would go to the post office and deliver them, and then I would get the letters that were coming from home, and those would be about a 2 weeks distance. Because back in these days, you had to wait a year and a half for a telephone. We didn't have cable. There wasn't internet, as far as I knew. And so I was just loving the peace and tranquility. And then about 10 years ago, my mother decided to move into my backyard, and she brought with her 2 husbands. My dad and her now husband. Part of the reason we originally went to Mazatlan, if you catch my drift. And, there's hope. So my mother moved down here along with her husband, my dad, my brother, my sister-in-law, my nephew, who's the love of my life, and then my aunt as well. I don't have any family left in the States. So they all pitched a tent, and the circus took place. Okay, so that's it. I really, the vibe of the people here called to me, and they're so loving, and it's a different culture, and it's portrayed differently because, did you know, where I live is the #1 expat community in the world, meaning people who used to live in the States that have now left, and I believe that there is a conspiracy, I do believe this, that people like Fox News have been given instructions, hey, we are losing the most of our Social Security checks to Mexico in this area, like right to the south is where more and more money each year is going. So let's scare the crap out of everybody. Tell them that the people are killing one another on the streets. I mean, come on. I'm from Fargo. I wouldn't handle that. It's very peaceful and beautiful. If you get a chance, everybody, look up Chapala, Mexico, or Ajijic, Mexico. Okay, I'm looking at another question. Okay. Good evening. So anyway, the real answer is I had nothing better to do that day, and I needed to make a change or I would have died. And so I made a big change, and I think I have caused now generations after me to become Mexicans. Isn't that weird? Okay. Good evening, Dan. How about this? I'd ask them what they think of texting. Oh, you're talking about the sexting. Okay. I'd ask them, what they think of sexting while pretending that I didn't know about it. Okay, Joe Park. Joe Park was saying that he would ask his kids what they think of sexting. At the beginning I said, I know some friends who recently discovered that their kids were sexting. And they found it by looking at their pictures on the phone and saw that and kept looking and looking. And then had it out with the kids. So Joe was saying that he would that you would say to the kids, so what do you think about sexting? And wait to hear what their response was. Now, Joe, I have to say, that is what my mother would do. That is called entrapment. When we ask loaded questions or hostile questions, when we're not being upfront with our communication, I have to be serious here, when we aren't being upfront and clear with our communication, when we are in any way intending to deceive, even if it's, I am deceiving you into believing that I don't know that you've done this so that I can get some information out of you while your defenses are down, so to speak, that is not the path of the savvy, assertive communicator. The assertive communicator would say something such as, Joe, I want you to know that it's okay, and I wasn't snooping on your phone. However, I ran across yada yada. So let's talk about how we got here and what we're going to do to move forward. And I'm with you till the end. We talked about what I would say at the beginning, so you might want to, if you are discovering your kids sexting these days and you want to know what I suggest saying, what I've seen work beautifully, it's at the beginning of this. You have to go to the replay. Okay, hold on one moment. And I apologize for all the shakiness. That'll be better next time. Okay, all messages. Okay, hello. Questions. Oh, hey, Enthros. Okay, how do you make friends with difficult coworkers and bosses? Oh, okay. Thanks, Pamela. You're welcome. Well, okay. Wait a minute. Who was that again? This is not my user-friendliest system, I have found. Okay. That's from Enthros. By the way, is that Greek, Enthros? How do you make friends with difficult coworkers and bosses? Well, what I do, because I tend to always befriend the difficult people, always. I try to figure out I'd like to use the Enneagram. The Enneagram is the ancient personality system where you have 9 different types. And it's basically going back to what's your compulsion? What is your sick reason for being? What goes through your brain all day long? Where like some of us go through the day thinking, I've got to be perfect. If I'm not perfect, I'm nothing. I just must be perfect. Who am I if I'm not perfect? I've got to be perfect. Or some of us go through the day thinking, I must be needed. If I'm not needed, who am I? I got to be needed. And if I'm not needed, I'm going to create a situation in which I'll be needed. That's what I'll do because I got to be needed or else who am I? So we all kind of have this, some of us think I got to be successful. Some of us think I got to be special. But we all kind of have this, I have to be blank. And if I am not that thing, then what am I? And when I can discover what that person's compulsion is, that helps me understand why they're being difficult to begin with. And it's kind of like we all have this, I believe, the same problem, and we all have the same solution. We all have the problem of we're looking for love. We want to get our needs met while showing great love and receiving great love at the same time. But almost nobody knows how to do that. And I'm not saying I've mastered that, but some people are way off. You know what I mean? They're looking for love in all the wrong places, and they're looking for it, in other people. And they're very off. But it all comes down to we're looking for love, and we are afraid that we are not loved. And how that manifests is different for every one of us. But have you ever noticed, like when you really get to know somebody, when you get to know them, there's something that always clicks that makes you say, I get it. That's why you are the way you are. Oh, that's why you are the way you are. Oh, poor baby. Oh, boo. You know what I mean? And so I tend to get to know people who have been, when I was in high school, I left high school when I was 14 years old. And I did that because it was terrible and I hated it. And I was probably seen as the difficult person or the weirdo. And so I always have had a soft spot in my heart for the people who are considered to be, my best friend Dakota, total weirdo, total outcast. And I always found that when you get to know the people who are the difficult people, it's because they carry around such a battle in them, a whole world. And when you get to know it, not only is it interesting and we get sympathetic to that, I love to see what people's weird, weird inner self is, what's going on in there. It's almost, what I mean, hold on, the Xanthros, wait a minute, what's your name? Hold on. There's a Reverend Earthquake again, okay. I have to say, what is it again? Anthros, I have to say, how if it's your child, no matter how weird they are, you still love them. I mean, you do. Or if it's your parents, no matter how weird they are, you still love them, or how, even how difficult they are. Like, my dad is ornery as could possibly be at this stage in life, and I could not love him anymore. When you get to know anybody, that's really what you find, is that thing that we all share, that's that communal spark, where you realize you are my brother, and you can't help but love them when you see what's really in them. So that's what I do. Anthros is you get to know them, and when you do that, you can't help but see in that other person the bond that you share, and it's that spark that you can call God or the Holy Spirit or love or the universe, whatever. But once you see it in another person, you can't help but love them, because you're seeing the love in them. So obviously you'll love them. Durr. Okay, hold on. I know I have to wrap up here, but okay, hold on a second. Oh, okay. I think that's good. So it looks like I've gotten all of the big questions out of the way. Why do we live in Mexico? Because I'm crazy. My whole family moved here because we can't live without one another, because we're all, as my brother puts it, codependent and what did he say? Oh, incestual. It's kind of sick, but he says we can't live without one another, and I think that that's not a bad thing. I mean, I don't know how many more years I will have with every single person in my family at the table, but I'm going to take every single, day that I can and enjoy it, because I don't finite. So, and a special shout out. By the way, Pamela, I think you spelled Guadalajara correctly. So if you just guessed on that, close. Okay, you spelled it almost right. Wait a minute. You said you'd like to know. I interrupt. Oh, hold on. Okay. How do you deal with people whom you've told multiple times about interrupting? Okay. I'm going to close with this. Okay, on the interrupting, we're going to talk about the interrupting thing. Now, this is a tough one. First of all, you have to give them, if you find that somebody interrupts you a lot, remember that for many of us, that really bugs us, because that's about us. If that's their communication pattern, I mean, they don't do it just to you, they do it to everybody. If that's their pattern, that's about them. And some people, especially men, we interrupt people more. We just do. But if that really bothers you, that's about you. So just consider that. What is it that's bothering me so much about them interrupting me, and can I let that go a little bit? But let's say that it's something that needs to stop, or let's say that you're at work and it's a coworker or an employee that keeps interrupting you in front of other people, or whatever it may be, and you need this behavior to stop. The most effective way that I have found to actually halt interrupters is, first of all, you have to have an assertive talk with them. I would recommend a desk script, DESC. It's the same as the AEIOU, which is describe the behavior, explain what the effects are, explain the effects. S, say what you would like in the future. And C, give some consequences, which would be good if they do what you're asking them to do. For example, Mary, I need your help. This morning when we were talking at the company meeting, you interrupted me 3 times while I was talking about the company picnic that's coming up. When you do that, you throw me off and you undermine my authority in front of the entire team. In the future, if you have something to contribute or a question to ask, I of course want all of your input and want to hear your questions, but please do it at the appropriate time. You'll know when I'm done speaking. No, I wouldn't say that. Please do it at the appropriate time, and you'll know when that is during the meeting, or when we're having a personal conversation as well. Can I count on you for that? Now, I just threw that out. Your desk script would be a little bit different, and just remember to have an opening line and a closing line. I need your help at the beginning. Can I count on you for that? Would that be all right with you? Are we on the same page? Can you do that for me? Are we cool? Whatever that closing line is, it's a closed-ended question. Remember, it's not just so what do you think about that? You know what I mean? But once you've done that, that's not the whole thing. Once you've done that, they're probably going to keep interrupting you because that's their pattern. So you have to break it. And the way that you break somebody from interrupting you is this. If you ever watch Judge Judy, I wish I could show you Judge Judy right now as an example of the mistress of anti-interrupter. Because, say what you want about Judge Judy. Oh yes, thank you. Desk, D-E-S-C. D, describe the behavior specifically that you want to stop. Not, you interrupt me all the time. Or why are you always interrupting me? Because that is 9 times out of 10 what we tend to say to people. And remember that when we are unclear like that, you are always interrupting me, that increases their self-talk as opposed to opens up the lines of communication so that they can hear the message, as it does when we simply state a D, describe the behavior specifically. Or it could be during a conversation. Dan, that's the second time you've interrupted me during this conversation, okay? E stands for effects. Give the effects of their behavior. When you do that, it interrupts, or it undermines my authority. When you do that, it makes me forget where I was going. When you do that, it what? S, say what you want. Because remember that, it sounds simple, but the odds of getting what we want dramatically increase when we say what we want. But many of us, what we will do is tell people to stop interrupting us. That's not what we want to do. We want to plant it in the brain. Please wait until I am finished before you ask me a question. Please wait until there's a pause. You'll know when I'm done speaking because I'll be looking at you without saying anything, But it's a little bit late in the day for me. But just state what you want. And then the C stands for consequences. Give some good ones. Not bad. You know what I mean? Like, if you ever watch Nanny 911, you'll know that what gets rewarded gets repeated. Tell people in advance what their reward would be. Then, if you can do that, John, then when it comes time for me to listen to you, I can do that in a more open way and truly hear what it is that you're saying, rather than be thinking about, oh my gosh, he just interrupted me and I'm so angry. Do you think that would work for you? DESC, describe the behavior, give the effects of the behavior, say what you want, and then consequences. But that's not it. The 3-step but that's what you'd want to do. Then they're going to interrupt you again. So, the 3-step anti-interrupter is this. Remember that Judge Judy, when you try to interrupt her, she does something the same way every time. It's a pattern because it works. And the 3 things that she does is, number 1, she gives eyes wide and a forward head nod because that's super aggressive. You have to do a cost-benefit analysis. When somebody tries to interrupt you, you have to really weigh. The only way to get them to stop is to make them uncomfortable. Is that worth it? Like if it's my grandmother interrupting me, not worth it. But if it's, an employee, worth it. So, number 1, eyes wide, head tilt forward. Number 2, use a stop gesture. Remember, this is the universal stop gesture. Now, Judge Judy will give you a karate chop, but just a stop gesture. And number 3, use an anti-interrupter statement. Now, I'm going to go through all of these. You're welcome, Blair. The three steps are, number 1, eyes wide, head nod forward. Number 2, stop gesture. Number 3, anti-interrupter statement. Now to put it all together, if I were in a meeting, now you have to practice doing it because it sounds simple and it's not simple when it comes time to do it. But if I were in a meeting and somebody over here starts to talk and I've already told them the desk script, so we've laid the groundwork. That's why I mentioned that, because this is so aggressive. You want to always make sure to say, or that you can say, hey, I did that first, But if I'm having a meeting and I'm talking to somebody, and let's say that a competitor is trying to steal the floor from me, I can always say, I'm speaking, and then you just keep speaking without stopping. And if you are speaking and they interrupt you again, remember to just look over without missing a beat and say to them, I'm still speaking, and then you keep speaking. But remember that the average person, when being interrupted, responds with what is the first thing out of their mouth, the average person? Excuse me, right? Excuse me, I'm sorry, I'm not finished. I'm sorry, was I done speaking? Don't play around and don't say I'm sorry ever in that situation, or excuse me or anything like that. Very simple step-by-step process. I'm speaking, and then you keep speaking. I'm still speaking. Now, if after you say, I'm speaking, and then they try to interrupt you again, and you say, I'm still speaking, and then you keep going. If they still try to interrupt you, use their name over and over. John, 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 John. Because even if somebody knows that you're trying to get the floor from them, it's almost impossible for the average human being to hear their name, especially over and over again, and not say, what? So if you have to do that, resort to John, 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 and they'll say, what? And you'll say, I'm still speaking. And then don't ask for permission, don't say, can I keep going forward? Because it's so rare that anybody ever does that. You will totally take back the floor. And the people watching will be like, okay, did anybody catch them? Oh my gosh. Oh, okay, don't screw with Dan. He'll give you an anti-interrupter karate chop. Okay, you're welcome. Repeat. I was asked to repeat the desk. D, describe the behavior. E, oh, I'm getting a poor connection. I apologize. I'm in the mountains of Mexico. Bad señales. D, describe. I'll put it in the description of the video. How about that for the desk script? So what I'm going to do is I'll put in the description of the video. Oh, now that I've gone, way over. Who cares, right? The desk script, the anti-interrupter. I'm putting a link to the podcast on the What to Say to Your Kids When They're Sexting. And anyway, I will see you guys here on. And by the way, Pamela, if you interrupt. I interrupt quite a bit. I'd like to know what. Pamela, if you interrupt quite a bit, I do too. And sometimes I tell people, you know what, I apologize if I interrupt you. It's just because I'm so engaged in what you're saying. I want you to know that I sometimes can't help but just jump right in. But please feel free to tell me, Dan, I'm speaking, and I'll stop. You know what I mean? Give people the gift of communication tactics. And with that, I'm going to put some stuff in the description. Please join this group or subscribe if you haven't. And I'll see you back here on, when's our next live night? Tuesday, I think it is. So I'll see you on Tuesday. And remember to stop by danocanotraining.com. There are some courses coming up that will be live courses, structured courses. But thank you everybody for joining me. I appreciate it a lot. So I hope you have a great rest of the evening, and I hope that wherever you are, you're with people that love you and that you love, and I hope you're having a good time and enjoying this beautiful spring night, this spring day for wherever it is that you are. So thanks guys, I appreciate it. Dan O'Connor signing off, and this is for Buddy and Maggie too. Woof woof!